It's time, you guys. I am so incredibly excited. Let's get going on a new game. So welcome back to Aubrey Books and Coffee. Please grab your favorite beverage of choice. And like I said, let's start those rolls. And all of our rolls and book picks for this month, of course, are going to be geared towards my readathon. I am so excited. If you have no clue what I'm talking about, I'll make sure to link below so you can go and see that video and the Google Drive and get all the forms you need. And of course, as always, this entire month, every sprint, every video, there's going to be an extra clue pulled. So make sure you stay tuned and you get those clues filled out. So without further ado, let's see how we do with our rolls. Happy February, everybody. Yay! Let's see how many prompts we're going to get for the month. Ooh, only 3. Oh, that's so great. I could certainly use a little bit of an easier time. And our first prompt is a cookie, and it says, a beautiful cover and already a coffee break. Oh no! So roll number 1 got us a beautiful cover. I am so glad that it had this because the one I have been dying to read is Her Radiant Curse by Elizabeth Lim. Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. In case you don't know, this is the prequel to The Six Crimson Cranes. Love that series. It's on my shelf, 5-star read all the way around. Now we actually get to see the prequel version. We get to find out why her stepmother was the way that she was. I don't want to give too much away, so that's all I'm going to say about that, but I cannot wait to see. For the coffee break, we have all these little ones here. I'll just grab this one and see, and ignore any noises. My cats are having a great old time in the hallway, making as much noise as possible to show that they're upset that I have closed them out of the room. And it is caffeine. I can gain a check mark on my TBR card. Woo! So hooray, the coffee break was good to us this time. I get to add a little check mark on my TBR card. Yeah, baby. For those who don't know, once I fill it out and get 10 books read, I get to get me a free book. Well, I guess technically it's not free, but whenever I do these book hauls that you see sometimes, and even the ones you don't see, basically they sit over there on my shelf and I have to earn those books. So we've already bought them, but they don't go on my shelf over here to be read until I've earned them. So I'm excited. Roll number 2. Ooh, is a book. And it says, a book that intimidates you. So roll number 2 got us the prompt of a book that intimidates me. Now, normally when I'm intimidated, it's because it's something that's a genre I don't typically like or a size of book that is just huge. In this case, it is a genre I don't typically like. So normally horror is not my thing. You guys know that. I get tortured every October by my family having to do 31 scary books and 31 movies in 31 days. It's the only time I normally gravitate to scary books. But this prompt did say I needed to be intimidated. So I chose The Getaway by Lamar Giles. I mean, just look at that creepy cover, you guys. Oh, so this apparently is going to follow Jay, who works at a type of resort, and he and his crew do an amazing job making all the customers happy, and life is just good. He's saving money, everybody's getting along, everything's wonderful, until in the middle of the night one night, his best friend goes missing, and her family too. And now Jay's confused about what's going on because nobody seems to be willing to look into it. On top of that, instead of the normal people that come to this resort, all of a sudden they're getting just the really, really rich people and the really powerful people showing up. And all of a sudden, instead of like a 9 to 5, they're expected to be at their beck and call. What is going on? And so, unbeknownst to Jay and his crew, apparently the end of the world has happened. And this getaway place is like a last oasis for these rich and powerful people to go to have the time of their lives and escape the nightmare that now exists beyond the walls. Rule number 3. Coffee cup. And it says a science fiction. So rule number 3 got us sci-fi, which I kind of had to look a little bit because, again, I'm trying to get all the points I can with my books. So I ended up going with Warcross by Marie Lu. This follows a hacker. I believe her name is Emeka Chen, and basically she is hired as a bounty hunter to find people who are playing this Warcross game and to capture them because it's illegal. Well, she gets hired by a billionaire, and of course there's some sparks flying and some romance. But then she gets sucked into Warcross herself and things start to happen. So I'm kind of excited about this one, and it may be one I have to send to my hubby. And I have a punishment for not getting in all of my miles for the Oregon Trail, so I have to do an additional roll. Peppermint. And it says, new to me author. And I had to have an additional roll because I didn't get in all my mileage last month. So remember, I got cholera. So good old Oregon Trail. So because of that, it said I had to add a book. And that's why I did a 4th roll. And that 4th roll said a new to me author prompt. So I chose The Black Kids by Christina Hammonds Reed. Now this apparently follows Ashley, who is a senior in high school. She's excited. The summer is going great and she's happy that senior year just ended. She's going to get to go to college and move on with her life. Unfortunately, she lives in LA and it's 1992, which means, that's right, the Rodney King riots start. And so this is kind of told the history that happened from her viewpoint and how to survive these dangerous riots. So I think it's going to be heartbreaking, but I think it's also going to be really, really good. Now we get to pick from the apothecary jar from the always, always ever-growing TBR list, right? Let's see, just one. Just need to pick one. They both want to climb out. All right, and it looks like it says The X Hex by Erin Sterling. Okay. So our apothecary jar gave us a fun romance, which while it doesn't give us the full amount of points, gives us the next full amount of points. So I'll take it. It is a romance, The X Hex by Erin Sterling. And this apparently follows Vivian, who 9 years ago had her heart broken by Reese. So what does she do? Well, she does what every good witch does when they're drunk. She puts a curse on him. And apparently when he comes back to town years later, the town gets overrun by, oh, are you ready for this? Murderous wind-up toys and ticked off ghosts. And so now they have to band together to try to save the town. This sounds fantastic to me. Now we get to do the Advent jar. One of my favorite gifts to myself. Thank you very much. Get to pick out 2 books that I want to read. So much harder to do this one-handed. All right, we've got 1 and 2. So let's see what those are. We have, looks like, The Spare Room by Andrea Bartz. Ooh, I think that one's like a thriller. That one's going to be exciting. And then the other one is, oh, A Day of Fallen Night. Actually, I ended up DNFing, so that one won't work. You can tell that these are not gone through ahead of time. It's literally I toss them in there and hope to get to them. So the second one instead will be, What Have We Done, Alex Finley. Ooh, 2 thrillers.
For those who don't know exactly what the Advent jar is, basically, instead of an Advent calendar around Christmas time, I give myself a gift all year round. And basically, when I tell you the top 3 books I am most looking forward to coming out for the month, I add them into that little jar and then I draw them 2 every month so that I can read these books because I'm excited they're coming out and I want to read them and review them for you. So in this instance, we ended up drawing Spare Room by Andrea Bartz first. And this one basically follows a friend during the pandemic who is kind of down on her luck, loses her apartment and her job. And her friend, her married friend, says, stay with us. We've got plenty of space. We have a spare room. So she goes to stay with them. And at first it is absolutely fabulous. There's pools, there's jacuzzis, there's food, there's like everything's great. And she loves this friend. And boy, is her, husband super hot. And everything just seems to be going great. Well, then she starts to see them acting a little strange. And she uncovers a secret that they've had somebody stay with them before. And that guest disappeared. The second one we drew was What Have We Done by Alex Finley. I am excited. This is going to be another kind of thriller, scary one. I don't know why I drew those back to back, but okay. So in this one, it follows a group of friends and I think it's going to be like a dual timeline situation where they, of course, have secrets from their past, as these stories always do, but they have to kind of uncover these secrets to find out who it is that is trying to kill them and why.
And of course, I want to finish reading those beautiful editions of book boxes that I get so that I can give them to you guys when they're not a 5-star. So there we go. And this one says, the beautiful book I'm going to read is What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. Love that.
So the gorgeous books that I need to hurry up and read and review, so if they're not 5 stars, can go to you in these drawings. When I drew from that little jar, I drew What the River Knows by Isabel Ibanez. I am super excited about this one. This gorgeous cover might be yours. And I got not just one, but 2 versions of the book in book boxes. So again, these could be yours. So anyway, apparently the story follows Inez, who lives in Buenos Aires, and she gets left all the time by her parents who love to go globe-trotting and exploring and things like that. Well, one day she gets a message that her parents have mysteriously died. And again, nobody's really looking into it. She has to find some answers. So she decides to go out on her own and figure out what happened, going where they were last seen. Along the way, she gets some kind of a magical ring, apparently. Apparently, there's a handsome assistant helping her out. So it sounds like it's going to give me some fun ride.
All right, for our Bookopoly, last time we landed on this square, and it was a Sarah J. Maas square, but I'm actually all caught up on her. I don't have any backlist for her, so I have since exchanged it for a Mira Grant square. So I'm excited for when I come back around and get on that. Now, in case you're new to my channel, just so you know, the library is our go spot. And anytime I pass the go, all you have to do is be the first one to comment below in the comments that you saw me pass go and name one of the books on my TBR. And the first person to do that gets a prize sent to them. So here we go, guys. Let's see. And it looks like a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And this is a stack of books, and that square means I get to pick something from my shelf that is a TBR vet.
So Bookopoly had us land on the spot for our TBR vet, and one I've had on my shelf since 2018. I'm so excited to finally get to it. Is Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagagawa. I apologize, I'm the worst with names. Basically, this follows a fox shapeshifter whose sole purpose in life is to guard a mysterious scroll. Unfortunately, there is an assassin who's been hired to do whatever it takes to steal that scroll. So my number generator landed on number 210, which is kind of perfect because, again, it does actually go with her theme, and that doesn't always happen, as you know. So in this instance, I get to finally read You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. As far as I know, this follows Liz, who's always felt like she's too Black, too poor, and just doesn't have the ability to shine in this small town. But that's okay, because she is brilliant, and she's going to go off to college and be a doctor and pretend like this town never happened. Unfortunately, the financial aid falls through, and so she just doesn't know what she's going to do. She feels all her dreams are just dashed, but then she hears there's a scholarship to her school being offered for a prom queen and king. So she's got to come up with a way to get everybody to vote for her and to get that crown just so that her dreams can finally come true. So as you know by now, I am reading through the Star Wars books, and it has been a slog for the last few. I know there's some good ones in here because I've read them before. I'm just waiting to get to them. It's all of these that happened before A New Hope that have just been really difficult for me. I think this one's going to pick up, you guys. I am super excited about this one, actually. This one is Midnight Horizon by Daniel Jose Older. I'm excited because the synopsis sounds like it's going to be following the traditional Jedi and Padawan, which I do like. Less politics, more action, please. And it follows them investigating an attack that has happened in Corellia. I also happen to know that planet, so that makes me happy. And then on top of all of that, they're going to have to get the aid and help of a security guy named Crash. That sounds adorable. And they're going to have to do a very elaborate ruse that involves a galactic pop star. What? So I think this is going to be a much more enjoyable read. It's got a couple of buttons in there it's hitting for me. I can't wait. I'm also reading through the Robin Hobb series, and sadly, we're getting close to the end. But I'm so excited to pick up this last bit of the trilogy with Fool's Quest. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's a chunker, so it's going to take me some time. I just know this continues with Fitz and the Fool, and you guys know I absolutely adore Fitz. This whole time I have adored Fitz. Not that I didn't also love the dragons, obviously, but Fitz is where it's at for me. So I am so excited to get this and to see what's going on with them and to sadly work through the last three. Now, of course, I participate in several book clubs, because why not? And so I'm going to talk about them here. First is my own book club, the ABC Book Club. Please feel free to join us. I'm on Instagram, and I post there every week, and also our Discord, which again will be linked below, so you can join us. Everything's free. You just kind of post each week as you feel up to it, your synopsis. Try to stay with the chapters that are broken down for that week, so there's no spoilers, please. But outside of that, it's just as you want. Come and join. For this month, they voted, and I love the result. It was Yellowface by R.F. Kuang. I have been wanting to read this for a while. Essentially, it's these two authors. They're kind of friends. One of them unfortunately dies, but her manuscript lives, and the other one decides she's going to steal that for herself because she's always been kind of jealous of the other one's success. And so she tries to pass it off as her own, and everything and craziness that happens from that. So I can't wait to read that with you guys, and we post what we feel as we go. I'm also in Liv's book club, and I'll make sure to put her here as well as link her info below in case you want to go check her out. She's fabulous. And the voting is almost done, but it looks like it's 20% ahead in the lead right now. So I'm going to go ahead and say this is what won for her book club, and that's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I have been wanting to read this since Cassidy and Mel and the rest of them read it and talked about how they loved it. It's a popcorn kind of read. They said it's not at all great literature, but it's a fun popcorn read. And it basically is like a Red Queen meets Hunger Games kind of vibes. And so I am here for that. Speaking of Cassidy, I'm also in her backlist book club, and we are continuing that Mark Lawrence trilogy with The Girl and the Mountain. We're still going to be following Yaz. She's still under the ice. Interesting to see what happens next. I'm in another book club that actually is doing a read along together of a new series, and it starts with Age of Myth by Michael J. Sullivan. It's book one of the Legends of the First Empire series. So I'm excited to read this. All I know about this is just kind of a very brief synopsis saying that since time began, humans have worshipped the gods, but when a god falls to a human's blade, the balance of power has been changed forever. So we'll see. And last but certainly not least, I'm doing a one-on-one buddy read with You Know Who You Are. We're going to be doing Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. I apologize. I am the absolute worst with names. And it just kind of gives me feels of, Lara Croft, Tomb Raider meets Indiana Jones meets, what was the name of that movie? It had Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum in it. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. It just kind of makes me feel like all of those kinds of vibes. And so I'm hoping it ends up being super cute. And I know that she and I are going to enjoy reading it together. And I'll let you guys know at the end of the month. I'm also trying to knock out the bingo board and the Reddit Fantasy Bingo. And so for this particular month, I decided to choose the square that's the POC author, because of course, we're all about people of color. And so for this one, I chose Wings of Ebony by J.L. Isn't that an exquisite cover, you guys? That is just gorgeous. Basically, this follows Rue, who is all about her family. They are everything to her. Well, one day they get threatened, and she's been trying to kind of keep it low key because her existence is actually a crime. She's technically half human, half god. But again, she's kept it low key until her family gets threatened by some evil that enters the neighborhood. And now she has to don some costumes and be a hero in her neighborhood. I think this is going to be so cool. And of course, I like to support indie authors anytime I can because I'm an indie author. And so I am so excited to try out a brand new author I didn't even know existed until Amber messaged me. Bless you for that, Amber, and thank you. And that is Angela J. Ford, and I'm going to be reading her book, Music of the Night. Apparently, this is going to follow somebody named Aria, I believe it's called. Anyway, she's left penniless and without a home whenever her father dies. She's destitute. And to keep herself from having to live on the streets, she ends up becoming a ward of a count. And he ends up moving her to a place called Hightower. Well, while she's there, she comes in contact with a music instructor and starts to feel herself opening back up again and just really getting into music. Her instructor, unfortunately, is haunted. And so it says that this is kind of inspired by Phantom of the Opera. So I am just really excited to see this and to try out her work. And I promised you guys from the beginning that I would try really hard whenever I get all these beautiful books in book boxes and they give us that note card that talks about the bookish items and what books they were inspired by. I would read those books so that I can say, I've read that. I know why that quote is that, and so on. And so following that same vein, I chose for this month to read Forged by Blood by, and there goes cats with their toys, I'm sorry, Ethgabor Akusan. I apologize. But it's a gorgeous addition from a book box. I am so excited about this. This is supposed to follow Demi, whose sole purpose in life was just to help her mom, help out with the birthing of new children, helping with healing, and she just wanted to survive. That was all. Unfortunately, her mom dies, and now instead of just surviving, she wants revenge. And I guess it's going to have like a whole lot of Nigerian folklore and mythology in it, and I just think that sounds so cool and so beautiful, and I'm excited to read it. And like all of you, I need to finish these series that I start because every single year they give us at least 12 to 13 new series that we go into. So I'm going to pick up book 2 of Skin of the Sea, and that one's called Soul of the Deep by Natasha Bowen. I'm excited to continue following Simi and the sacrifices that she's having to make and the hard decisions she's having to make. I don't want to give too much away because if you haven't read book 1, it would ruin some stuff, but I can't wait to finish this duology and see how it ends.
All right, now we get to do the Trivial Pursuit portion. Last time we were going for a wedge. Unfortunately, did not get the question right. Big shocker there. And didn't like the book either. So hopefully this time I will know the answer and maybe even like the book. All right, for 2, I think I will go 1, 2 to roll again. 1, so orange. Oh, please be good to me. Please be good to me. Orange says, what author landed Hideaway, Dragon Tears, Cold Fire, and 5 other novels on the New York Times hardcover bestseller list? Oh, I don't know any of these. Oh my gosh, this is why I'm playing the game though. So I'm going to be reading one of these. Since I obviously don't know the answer, do you guys know? Oh, Dean Koontz. I should have known that. I love Dean Koontz. Shame on me. I just haven't read any of these. Okay, well, I am now.
I am kicking myself for not knowing that answer. I could have finally gotten an answer right in the Trivial Pursuit game. Dang it. I love Dean Koontz. How did I not know? I bet you all knew. Well, because I hadn't read any of the 3 that actually listed on there. I mean, had it said any of the others I've actually read, like any of the Odd Thomas books, I would have known. But it didn't. So I chose Hideaway since it was the very first one listed on that card there. And this follows a man after having a near-death experience starts to have some really, really strange visions, and they start coming true. And so I'm interested to see what happens with this, and I will know that answer next time.
And Shrink the Shelf, unfortunately, is still not available for purchase. I get it. She's a new mom. She's busy. So just like last time, I'm going to just kind of mix it up and shuffle it up and just kind of see what prompt I get. And whatever prompt I get will be something I grab off of my shelf. And the prompt this time is an anthology collection of short stories. Ooh.
So January, I talked about the Shrink Your Shelf game, and so there's more info in that video, but I will go ahead and link Sarah's information down below. She's created this amazing game. It's just still not quite ready yet. So I went ahead and drew cards, as you saw, and it gave us the prompt of, I don't know why I'm blanking. It gave us the prompt of an anthology and short stories. I think it's because I don't normally like short stories, so I kind of blanked out on it. Okay, it gave us short stories. And so for this one, I actually chose Blackout. It's got Tiffany D. Jackson, Angie Thomas, and several others in there. I am so excited. This was actually one of the options that could have won for our book of the month, and instead Yellowface obviously won. So I'm excited to get to it, and I have a reason to, despite the fact that none of y'all wanted to read it with me. So let's talk about those top 3 I'm most excited about coming out in February. And all 3 of them actually come out the first week, which is fantastic. The first one comes out on February 6th, and that is Bride by Ali Hazelwood. That's right. Instead of doing STEM romance, she's going into the paranormal, guys. She's doing a bride, like the title suggests, who is a vampire, who is being married off to, oh yeah, you know, a werewolf. I can't wait to read this. I think it looks fantastic. I'm excited to see how she does dipping a toe into a different genre. Now, coming out on February 7th are the other 2. The first one I'm going to talk about is The Tainted Cup by Robert Jackson Bennett, I believe it's pronounced. Essentially, this is kind of like a Holmes and Watson kind of detective duo that's going on. And they're basically investigating a murder. And interestingly enough, the murder victim isn't just a dead body. It's got a tree that erupts out of its body. So there's obviously a magical element going on here. So that intrigues me. I don't want to know any more than that. I want to read it for myself. Also coming out, like I said, on February 7th is going to be book 3 of This Woven Kingdom. So of course I'm going to pick this up and finish this trilogy. And it's called All This Twisted Glory by Tahira Mafi. I have enjoyed the ride so far. Book 2 less than book 1. But I am still continuing the series and excited to get this 3rd and final book. So I hope you do the same. And while I have your attention and I have mentioned Oregon Trail, I just want to remind you I'm going to continue walking. I've got some steps to catch up on. Let's hope I do it. I don't want any more than cholera. I don't want dysentery or any of the other horrible things that can happen along the way. Thank you guys so much for being here. Please like, subscribe, send your friends, and wait, was there supposed to be a clue? All right, let's roll. Ooh, and we got a location. I'm going to go wrong. Here we go. We got a location. So pulling from the location stack, the University of North Carolina. Okay, so we know the murder did not take place at the University of North Carolina. So make sure you mark that down on your sheets, guys. And again, if you have any questions on that, see the links below in the Google Drive as well as the video. Now for real, take care, guys.